Good day, good morning, and good evening, Commanders. With Season 2 bringing in new ranked maps, I've decided to deep dive each of them so that you can win lots in Season 2. With that, the second map of the series that we'll be covering today is Death Row. Death Row is yet another old but reliable map. Its fight for the plateau or opportunity for a flank attack always lead to an interesting game. Today we'll be looking at the most optimal way I play Death Row so that hopefully you too can dominate ranked play in Season 2. As always, we'll be covering the better side first. In my opinion, it's this one. Let me explain. So the reason that this side is in my opinion better is because it's got a lot more 40-minute play than the other one. So if I have to pick sides on which I will win very early, I would pick this one. If I want to do a fast attack, I would pick this side. The reason being is that it's a lot more comfortable to play when you have this under your control. And now, in orthodox play, we'll call this the red side. The red side gets this position. But if you're being realistic, it really doesn't. The biggest reason red side doesn't actually get to here is because all you have to do to stop them from getting that is put a stopper right there. That's all you have to do. From this position right here, this is 500 range. If we take a look, as you can see, from this cover position right here, we get 500 range for a split second. And because the aiming time works a bit weirdly in this game, we'll aim fast enough and we'll shoot fast enough most of the time to kill anything, even with just 500-meter range on our RPG. Now, most get 675, so that's even better for us in this situation. If you have an RPG right here, you'll stop anything from coming down to this position, and then technically, this position is blues. This is why I prefer blues. Also, because blue gets basically all of this buffer for its CV, whereas the red side does not get anything. The red side needs to put a CV right here in order for it not to die. This is how red needs to play this. Which is really annoying as red, because red is constantly on the verge of being kicked out of alpha, and Echo is not really that easy to push, and Charlie to push as red is also not that easy because you need to go through all of this empty space, through all of this open fields and stuff, and you need to take these buildings. Now, once you're in Charlie, it is pretty easy to hold it, but like there's still the risk of you getting pushed out and then still being on the edge of your seat and alpha as the red side. This is why the blue one is generally a lot more comfortable in 40-minute games, but in quick games, the red one does fine, in my opinion. So, how you want to exploit your advantage as blue here. You want to force a fight basically on alpha. You want your opponent to constantly be thinking about alpha, and you want your opponent to just forget that the sides even exist. This is how you want to play this on death row. As this side, your advantage is alpha, so you're gonna force a fight on your advantageous side, and you're gonna win every fight that you take. This is how you want to play it. As blue, it would be very ideal if you took this forest, because if you take this forest, basically the entirety of alpha falls under your control. So all of my early attacks on death row as blue's side here will be directed towards this forest. I always go to take this forest, like I said before, by putting an RPG here, stopping any infantry that's coming this way, and then pushing it myself. This is how I fight on death row. This middle building is useful, but you're never realistically getting to it. The only way you would get to it is if you deploy earlier and then move up into it. But then again, there's just so much, in my opinion, better positions that aren't as suicidal as this one. So of course, if you want to put like a um, high stealth unit in this building so that it doesn't die, it doesn't get spotted, you're free to do as you please. However, I don't use this generally building like that much because it's very suicidal. Because if you're trying to pull out of it, you're gonna get killed, you're gonna get sniped by a lot of things. There's just a lot of things that you can get sniped by. If you go this way, you're getting sniped from here, from here. There are a lot of things that can kill you while you're in this building, and the entirety of the enemy's defensive positions basically see you while you're in it. So that's why I generally don't like this building that much. I feel like the more like still as good but a bit more passive positions are better because you're free to pull back from them anytime you want. There's also this very good position, and there's also this one which denies this field of play to the opponents. If you take a look, this ATGM position denies this field and this field of play to your opponents. And if you think about it, that's the only fields of play that your opponents get in the first place. Like, these fields of play with tanks are the only ones that they get in the first place. This is the only places they can actually play. Because, of course, they can play on this side, but our idea is to stop that in the first place and force them to play where they are most disadvantageous, where they're gonna lose, right? If they're playing on this field, all that we need to do is just line this forest up, line this forest up, and seize this building, and we've stopped this. So the idea is to make your enemy overload and to basically kill him with his uncomfortable position. That's the entire point. We're going to stack the map with ATGMs. We're going to deny him the ability to play anywhere. We're going to hold the rest of the map. And we're going to push alpha. This is how we're going to win this game. So, you'll see me deploying possibly a KCT two KCT Verkeners in these buildings right here, followed up with M113 CNVs to seize the position. Again, we're trying to seize, if you think about it, we're trying to seize, well, first is this, that's the first priority. Second priority is this. The reason this is second and not first is because when this falls, this will automatically fall. You have to prioritize things. Think of it like dominoes. Defensive positions in this game are like dominoes. Once the first domino falls, the second, third, fourth domino will all follow. That's how you should think about this game. So once we blitz the right position here, this will fall without any problems.
Klaar voor vertrek.
You have KCT Verkener seizing the position, M113 is behind them. We'll have a KCT Verkener going to this spot that we just talked about. And as you can see, his log gets 675-meter range, which makes it so that he can shoot from afar and kill any infantry that's thinking that it's gonna get there when it's actually not. We'll start with a BO for intel. Like I said, I always start with 2 recon helicopters at the beginning of the ranked match because they're really overpowered, and I think everyone should use them in ranked because they're 35 points, very cheap. They spot the entire enemy's army. It's basically like playing Warno without the fog of war. This is basically how these helicopters function. You just send them towards the enemy, they die, but now at least you know exactly where your opponent is and exactly what's his idea. That's so crucial. If you know what the enemy is doing, go around him, you'll do the exact opposite, you'll counter him. So we have a KCT Verkener seizing space, we'll have M113s behind him to cut it off even more, and for him to to justify him pushing up. Because if it's just one KCT there, and there's like an enemy vehicle up here, let's say a 50 cal, a 50 cal's right there. That 50 cal's gonna push into us if we try to push forward. Whereas if we have two M113s here, KCT and 50 cal, if the 50 cal pushes, it's dead. The 50 cal is dead, and then we can push up the KCT. So you always need some fire support to justify your infantry pushing up. That's how we're gonna seize this position, and then that's what we're gonna go from. Of course, once you seize this and this falls, I always like to play even more deep. I like to expand even more and play even more vertically because it benefits you a lot. If you go into this forest and seize this, first of all, you're going to be overlooking this entire road if you think about it. You're gonna be overlooking that entire road. You're gonna be overlooking this one and this one from here and from here and from here. You overlook this. So it's a very comfortable position to be in once you've taken this. And you will be on the plus tick. This is how you want to play. You want to force your opponent to take these unfair trades, fights, and ATGM duels. And because they're unfair, you're gonna win each and every single one of them. And you're gonna win this game very easily. It's all about that. It's all about making your opponent just fight so unfair and such at a big disadvantage that they lose automatically whatever fight they take. It's about controlling the odds and controlling the battlefield in this game. That is how you win. For any pushes into Foxtrot, I would suggest seizing this space up here. It's very crucial because it overlooks all of this basically. And you can always play around it. You can reverse, go forward to cheese any ATGMs that are gonna try and shoot you. So this is very powerful if you're trying to take Foxtrot. Playing for this and for this overlooks this road. However, he gets the stronger position. He gets all of this to overlook the road with, which is this is why I generally avoid Foxtrot. But if you manage to take this, Foxtrot can be exploited. Keep that in mind. You always have to seize your opportunity. When I said before that our game plan is to take Alpha and then sit and defend on these sides, I didn't mean if things go wrong in Alpha, obviously exploit the other sides of the front. Do not just defend. Like, there are things to be exploited. Always take opportunities in this game. They will pay off if you play them well. If you've somehow managed to get this under your possession, always try something. Try something in Foxtrot. It can work. Maybe it do maybe it won't. Maybe it won't work in Foxtrot. Okay, then we'll go back to defending and then we'll play for Alpha again. Or you could play for Echo. If you have this here, playing in Echo is just a lot easier because like you can go from there to here. You have this, you have this, you have this. You can kind of pressure Echo from all sides. There's a lot of play to it. You can also start, for example, smoking off here and smoking off here so that you can play with your tanks on this field and on this field so that these buildings cannot shoot you. There's a lot to it and a lot of things you can do on this map that that pay off. Take opportunities. But again, the main source of play, I think, in my games in general, what I like to force is always a game on Alpha. Because if you end up putting enough pressure onto Alpha, your enemy will completely forget about the rest of the map. People in this game tunnel vision a lot, and that's bad. People need to stop tunnel visioning, but it happens. People focus on points, and we need to take advantage of that. If you can force your opponent to tunnel vision on this side, and let's say your opponent has good defenses, well, not exactly there, good defenses here, good defenses here, and you make him tunnel vision specifically on Alpha, if you're the one at the advantage in Alpha, you'll be the one constantly winning, and you're just going to be farming your opponent over and over again. That's the point. But of course, seize positions, seize space, take opportunities where they present themselves, and you're going to find yourself winning a lot more games. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at the worst side on Death Row and how that forces you to play. So stay tuned for that.